I really don't know much about music. Like maybe the songs I listened to as a kid, but in my adulthood, I don't follow the bands. Every now and then some artist or song comes along and I like it. I don't get super into the artist, but I like them. Whatever I know about music is simply through cultural osmosis. So last month I heard that Phil Lesh died. Who's Phil Lesh? Maybe you know. I sure didn't. Phil Lesh was the bassist for the Grateful Dead, a founding member along with Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir, Pigpen McKiernan, and Bill Kreutzmann. Other than Jerry Garcia, I am saying those names aloud for the first time in my life right now. So when Phil Lesh died, I only understood the importance of that through my music knowing friends, and among them, an even smaller sliver who really loved the Dead. There's a good chance that your knowledge of the Dead is just as thin as mine. They didn't have songs that charted like the Stones or the Beatles or Zeppelin. They were a live show experience. They had a huge cult following, so huge that even the name Deadheads is synonymous with fan fervor. The Dead, in their 30 years as a band, sold 22 million concert tickets. The band U2 has sold 28 million concert tickets. But U2 has had 34 top 100 hit songs, The Dead only 6. U2 has been touring for nearly 50 years, The Dead only 30. My point is, we all have cultural blind spots. We know about a thing, but we don't understand the magnitude of said thing until we find it for ourselves. I listened to some Dead after Phil Lesh passed, and it's good. It's not my thing, but I get it. I was pleased to learn just how important the Dead has been to so many people across many generations, and I was shocked at just how grand their impact was. I bring all of this up to say that I don't know much about TV shows, maybe the programs I watched as a kid, but in my adulthood, I don't pay attention to TV series. Every now and then some show comes along and I like it, but I don't get super deep into it, but I like it. Whatever I know about TV is simply through cultural osmosis. So when we drew the 2005 horror procedural drama Supernatural, I was shocked. Like shocked to see that this show ran for 19 seasons, 327 episodes from 2005 to 2020. The dramas with more episodes in American TV history are either about cowboys, cops, or doctors. The next closest show that fits the supernatural drama subgenre are X-Files and Smallville, both of which made it to only 217 episodes, 110 behind Supernatural. I know of this show, never watched a second of it, didn't know what it was about, and boy, is my face red for completely missing the fact that this thing was on television for longer than it takes a newborn to graduate high school. Thankfully, I have now watched the first three. Actually, I watched the first five of those 327 episodes, and I gotta say, I get it, y'all. This is way more my thing than Grateful Dead. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
What's your favorite concert you ever attended? Music
Ooh,
concert.
favorite concert? I'm not a big concert goer.
Same.
Like I can count the amount of concerts I've been to on like maybe one hand.
Uh-huh.
I'm like thinking maybe two hands, but I think it's like one hand. So the first concert,
Mm-hmm.
the first concert I ever went to, my parents took me to. The second concert I ever went to on my own was the Violent Femmes,
Mm.
and it was a great concert. They played, let's see, Rusted Root opened for them. Some me away, on my way, some me them. Um, and then it was in an outdoor amphitheater in Knoxville, Tennessee, and someone sprayed pepper spray into the
Ooh.
audience halfway through, and the band left, and the audience dispersed. And I just sort of hung around because, we were outside, and I was like, well, gosh. But the band came back, and they finished up the concert for like 100 people, and it was awesome.
That's great. I love that. I was supposed to go to Texas Stadium when I was a junior or senior in high school to see Metallica and Guns N' Roses
Oh my.
because a friend had somebody who had tickets in a suite there, and I was like, this would be awesome.
Oh wow.
My mom caught wind of it and was like, you were not going to see Metallica. Yeah,
Oh.
so I
What
didn't
what
get to
era
go.
what era of Guns N' Roses and or Metallica was
This would have
this?
been like 91, 92.
So this is
90
like
1992-ish
okay.
maybe. Yeah, so this was height of gun like the ending peak of Guns N' Roses, right? Because by the time the spaghetti incident came out, like we were like, this
So
is
this is like
fine.
Cold November Rain,
Yes,
Guns N'
yes,
Roses.
this is
Yeah,
the
okay.
Use Your Illusions one
Yeah.
and two. Yeah. And this is the Metallica maybe Black album, the one with
I'm less familiar with Metallica, but like Enter Sandman?
that might have been on that. Yeah, I think that might have been on
That's like
that
the one
album.
Metallica song I know, to
Yeah.
be fair.
I was more a Guns N' Roses kid than Metallica as well, so I'm kind of talking on my butt about Metallica. But I remember being very excited because I thought Guns N' Roses was one of those bands I was really, really into as a kid. But the first concert I went to was my beginning of my sophomore year in college, and I went on a date to go watch They Might Be Giants with opener Frank
Oh,
Black, and it was so much fun. I had a great time.
oh, how bouncy and fun.
It was bouncy and fun. They played the Glockenspiel, and it was adorable and humorous.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they did.
Well, this isn't going to be about music, although there is some Metallica and
There's some
Zeppelin
musical cues in this.
references in this show. Yeah, you have not seen this show either, Cecil,
No,
right?
I've not.
What did you know about it going into it?
Okay, I knew it was about monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that it was about two brothers
Mm-hmm.
that everybody in the fandom wanted them to be gay
For each other?
for each other, which made me very confused and probably added to the reason why I was like, I ain't watching this shit.
I mean, I'd like to tell you that that's sick, but having watched this show, I'm like, I get it. I
I
get
can,
it.
yeah, now that I've watched ne'er but three episodes, I'm like, they're like more like fraternity bros.
Yeah, but isn't that getting at the heart of kind of like we're not looking to be like, oh, I want to like an emotionally intimate relationship with these two guys.
No,
I want to kiss them.
but that's about all I knew. And
Yeah.
then I know that there's a lot of like characters that come in down the line who were very like maybe queer coded,
Uh-huh.
maybe even queer. I don't even know, but we're very like embraced by the sort of online Tumblr fanfic communities.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I don't know what those characters are or who they are or what they do or how they're related to Sam and Dean. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will just have to watch 289 more episodes to find out.
The 2000s were weird, man. It's so because I
Yeah.
was fully into adulthood. Like I'm 30 years old when this show comes out.
Yeah. Same.
And so 2005 doesn't seem that long ago to me because I'm fully past my 20s at this point. But it's so long ago. Like
Yeah.
it's 19 years ago. No. Yeah, 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And
And it feels like it.
yeah.
When you see some of the fashion choices, I was like, we straight up saw puka shells.
Uh-huh.
We saw cargo shorts.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw, the girl in the episode 3 who jumps in that lake, she might as well have like, like juicy written on the back of her, on her sweatpants.
But yeah, it's funny like TV, like mainstream television sort of figuring out, and I mean I think it's always still a path, but figuring out like queer representation. And
Yeah,
so we're still in the era of like we're teasing it along.
that's
Uh
it.
we haven't figured out that there's a giant audience of young people who are like,
Yeah,
I want them to kiss.
yeah,
We haven't
yeah.
gotten there yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was really funny. It's interesting. You're talking about music, about like maybe episode 2. I was like, I feel like I'm watching like kind of the three dudes camping out. I was like, are they going to the Warp Tour? This is so like fraternity bro 2000s.
Right. Yeah, it really is. And the humor of it is still very like
Oh yeah.
2000s as well.
No chick
And
flick moments, Jeffrey. We're not going to have
that's
any chick
right.
flick moments on this episode.
Yeah. There's actually a moment in the first episode where like the older brother Dean tells Sam, he's like, Dean is a little bit more of the like off the hinges guy, like a little bit
Yeah,
more of the free flowing.
it's Smart Sam and Angry Dean.
Yes.
That's how I remember them.
Or there's a moment in it where he asks Dean, he's like, does your girlfriend know what you do, what we do as a
Yeah.
family? Like this whole supernatural demon hunter thing that we do. And he's like, no, and she's not going to find out. And Dean is like, oh, that sounds healthy. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I was like, oh, I like this character of Dean being like, he's a little off the rails
Yeah.
sometimes, but he does seem a little bit like emotionally smarter. And then not 5 minutes later, they're having like a deeper conversation about their life together as brothers. And it Dean almost just says no homo to him. It's like,
Uh-huh.
this isn't gonna be a chick flick moment, bruh. And I'm like,
Bro.
okay, never mind. I
Yeah.
take it back.
No. No. No.
No. Well, we got to this by rolling for first three episodes, which we will cover the first three episodes of season one of Supernatural, and by rolling demonic, which we don't really quite fight demons, but it is a demonic-y show. And the kind of the opening inciting
Yes.
incident is definitely a demon doing something.
Demons are referenced, but we just don't get to them in the first three episodes.
So I would
So I'm
imagine,
I'm going to give us a pass fail. We passed, but
yes,
just barely.
yes. All right, so Lawrence, Kansas, 22 years ago, mom and dad, Tucky and baby Sam. We've got older
Oh,
brother Dean. And that night, like shit starts getting weird. The clock stops on the wall, the mobile's spinning on its own above the crib, the
nothing
lights
weirder than a
flicker.
creepy baby monitor.
Yep.
Baby monitors are like the scariest thing you can put into horror movies
Yeah.
sometimes.
Kind of there's something about like the analog, something about like analog audio and video sort of thing that's really,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's like a walkie-talkie into another room.
yeah, that
If anything
distorted
is that
voice.
important, such as a baby, that you
Uh-huh.
need to put a walkie-talkie next to,
Yeah.
then and if that walkie-talkie fucks up, then something real bad is happening.
Yeah. Well, we've got mom hears something late at night on the crib monitor. Dad John is not there, so Maria's like, "All right, well, I guess I'll go check on the baby." Goes in there. There's a man standing over the crib being like, "Shh," it's, just waving her off.
Shh.
She's like, "Fine. I guess you got it, hun."
The slow,
Goes,
quiet shush.
"Uh-huh." And I'm like, "That is not your husband, my friend."
Uh-uh.
And then she steps downstairs, and there is husband John just asleep in the chair watching movies.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. She screams upstairs. John comes running up there. Sorry, I wrote Maria. It's Mary, is the wife's name. Uh, John comes, dad comes running upstairs,
The
and
baby's fine. The
baby's
baby seems
fine,
cool.
but a little blood drip. This is a
Huh.
recurring visual motif in these episodes, too, of
Yes.
like the drip, drip, drip onto the crib. And he looks up, and there is Mary pinned to the ceiling, blood dripping down from her, and then just the whole thing goes up in flames.
Oh my. That's not good.
No, this demon is very stylized in the way that they do things.
Yeah.
Very CGI style.
Very CGI stylized. It's interesting because so then dad sort of takes the baby and like tosses it to little, 6-year-old Dean
Dean.
and
Yeah.
is like, take your baby brother and run outside. And I'm not sure what dad is going to accomplish here,
Yeah.
as mom is stuck to the ceiling engulfed in flames, but he doesn't really do much, but he does manage to get out of the house.
Yes.
I thought dad was going to be a goner.
Yeah, I thought
I
dad
thought
was
these two
dead.
kids were totally going to grow up as orphans,
Uh-huh.
but dad makes it out.
And we close on just a burned down house and fire trucks and police and everything everywhere. Title card, Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Now it's Stanford University, present day. Sam is at college. He is about to get his undergrad, and he has just aced his fucking LSAT.
He's so
He's got
smart.
got an interview on Monday with a top law school. I'm assuming it's going to be the Stanford Law
Yeah, no,
Department.
he says it's here. Yeah,
Yeah. He's also got his girlfriend Jessica,
yeah.
who is okay. I love the formula for the first. I know it goes at least through 5 episodes, and I can't imagine when they would give this up. But it is two hot boys who always
Uh-huh.
go investigate a crime and end
Yeah.
up running into a very hot girl who helps in some
Yes.
way.
Yes. Two hot boys go to investigate a supernatural. They
Uh-huh.
run into a hot girl who is in distress in some way.
Uh-huh.
They have to fabricate some insane lie about working for some agency that they clearly do not work for,
They have to commit a federal crime every
that commit a federal
episode.
crime. And then 3/4 through the episode, they have to come clean about lying for said federal agency, come out of the closet as supernaturals,
Uh-huh.
and
And then they kiss.
the girls give Dean a kiss
Yes.
because they've been so emotionally honest with them about being supernaturals. I'm just reporting what I see.
Uh-huh. I mean, this gets to the heart of like the if we're going to talk about like, a physical attraction or like sexual attraction to people. I'm like this show gets to the heart of like what we're physically attracted to and may not
Sure.
maybe not emotional, but in a moment where I'm like, I get it. I get why like a boy who lies and is deceitful but
Yeah.
is charming as fuck and pretty
Yeah.
as hell. You're like, yeah, I totally want to kiss him. Like I let's not fool myself into thinking that this is marriage material or
No,
that I
absolutely
can,
not.
but
No, this is the Abercrombie and Fitch era.
yeah, oh my God.
They're like we liked our hotties white and athletic and mean.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, so he's he's just trying to do his normal thing with his hot
Yeah,
girlfriend and get into law school and
yeah.
go about his life, but then one night somebody comes in, there's a whole fight sequence and it turns out to be Dean.
Dean,
Dean's come
angry
back.
Dean.
I haven't seen you in years.
2 whole years.
Yeah. Dean's like, "Hey man, Dad's not been home in a few days."
It's like, well, that's
Yeah.
pretty normal.
He went off on his some Miller Lite trip or something. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, listen, he went away on a hunting trip and did not come home.
This is interesting. So like, Dean one immediately starts hitting on Sam's girlfriend, which is like
Yes.
classy.
Hmm.
No, don't put on any clothes on my account. I'm just your
Yeah, she's like, oh, I should put something on. He's like, no, you don't have to do that.
no,
Come on.
your the boy briefs are just fine.
Hmm.
And Sam is like, listen, anything you have to say to me, you can say in front of my girlfriend, which is like, okay, cool. Like we're kind of showing how committed Sam is to his girlfriend because,
Yes.
college girlfriends, you know, we kind of got to get an idea of like how by the end of this episode, like this got to shake Sam's world.
Hmm.
But as soon as Dean says hunting trip, Sam's face immediately changes. He's like, get out of the fucking room.
Yeah.
You got to go. We got to talk about
Uh-huh.
family business stuff.
So Dean's come back to help to get Sam to help find Dad. And he's like, I can't do this alone. Or honestly, I just don't want to do it alone. Like,
Yeah,
I guess I could, but I feel like it's sort of like when a funeral brings people together that haven't seen
sure.
each other in a family in a long time.
I mean, it's also like why cops, like why police work in partners. Like you
Yes,
kind
and
of,
also it's safer. Yeah.
yeah,
But he's feeling that connection to his brother and wants to connect to him. And um there's a moment in this conversation I wrote down this line where it's very clear like Sam was less close to Dad than Dean was
sure, yeah.
because he didn't live with him as much, but and Dad was always telling Sam to like, yeah, if you can get out of this, you should get out of this. Like, go to college, do your thing. But in talking about growing up with Dad, younger Sam was like, I remember telling my dad that I was afraid of that thing in my closet, and he gave me a 45.
I was
And,
9.
and Dean was like, "That's a good plan." And he's like, "I was 9."
Yeah. He's like, you know what's out there. I'm like, oh my.
Oh, they live in a different world than we do. So here's the case. So one, Sam says, "Yes, I will go with you. This is just for the weekend trip. I have
Yep.
to be back Monday 10 a.m. for my interview."
Yep.
And so the case is a bunch of men have disappeared along the same 5 mile stretch of road. Dad went to investigate, but didn't come back.
Ooh.
They use a lot of like, they have just kind of, it's just inherent to them that they have a bunch of like ghost hunting equipment.
Sure. Oh,
They
I
have
love I love a Tarantino trunk
trunk shot.
trunk shot They're like, okay, we got like a little wind catcher. I
Uh-huh.
think I saw some sage in there,
Uh-huh.
sawed-off shotguns, crossbows.
We're gonna need an EVP recorder for this shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, on Dad's last voicemail, Dean had used the EVP thing to filter to hear a female whispering a woman's voice say, "I can never go home."
Oh no.
Uh-oh. So they drive to Jericho, California. So we go, well, they're going to Jericho, California, but we see what's happening in Jericho,
Yeah.
California. Just some other dude just driving up a highway, talking to his girlfriend, be like, "I'll see you soon, baby." And he sees the sexiest woman in white standing on the side of a dark highway.
Wow. Wow. This is like Megan Fox.
Uh-huh.
Like Megan Fox knockoff. Sort of like white peasant dress, just barefoot, just looking all innocent and sexy.
You remember
How?
Cemetery Man when
Yes.
gets he takes those two college girls back to their place and they're like, "What, are
Yeah.
you afraid of a couple of college girls?" I'm like, "I'm afraid of a couple of college girls just hitchhiking alone
Yeah,
with a
exactly.
strange
Better.
man at night because that tells me you are one step ahead of me in the
Yeah,
game."
exactly.
Well, this woman is so sexy and she gets in the car. "Take me home?" "Sure, get in." He
Yeah,
ditches
yeah.
his phone call with his girlfriend and they
He
pull up.
looks at her boobs. The camera
Mhm.
looks at her boobs. He
Yes.
looks at her boobs. Just so we know that even though we caught him, like the very moment we're introduced to him, he's talking to his girlfriend with his Hot Topic spiky bracelet.
Uh-huh.
He is ready to ditch his girlfriend for Ghost Babe.
He's this close to saying, "Wow."
Yeah.
Well, they pull up to a dilapidated house. And she says it again, "I can never go home." And he's like, "Well, there's no way you live here."
Yeah.
And then
This place,
suddenly she's not in the car.
she's gone. Ghost Babe.
Ghost babe. He's like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here."
Wise choice.
Peels out, ends up on this bridge, and like that club there's a goes through a bridge closed sign or something and ends
Yeah,
up
it's like I was not sure how they got to it, to
yeah,
the ghost house,
the
because the way
bridge is
back
out.
seems to be over a closed bridge, but you know what? So okay, sure,
Sure.
sure. Um, I'm noticing a trend with because horror on TV is very different than horror on film because you have to indicate a lot of stuff. So I'm noticing the like splatter on the back of a wall or a
Uh-huh.
window seems to be like that's as violent as we get on this show.
Yes. Yeah, it's more like the horror things are like painted or just like her boobs. Like we just have to look at them just to make
Yes.
sure you see the creepy thing. We're gonna deal with it head on. We're gonna
Yeah.
give it to you. Which kind of takes a lot of the edge off of the horror in this, even though a lot of the blood and the horror tropes are similar to scarier movies that we've seen. Yeah, it
But
really
yeah,
focuses on them.
but
But
we,
yeah,
you know,
she pops up
yeah,
in
we
his
don't
rear view
see the
window.
guy, we don't see teenage dirtbag die. We just sort of see like a paintball gun inside of a car. Go. And we're like, well, there goes teenage dirtbag.
There it is. Uh, I forgot to look up what kind of car Dean drives, but he's got a
76
classic.
Impala.
Is that what that is? Thank
Yeah.
you for knowing that. Yeah, he's got a
Hardtop.
dope ass muscle car. It's great.
Yeah, and I
And
read that when they wanted it to be like a classic car,
mhm.
and they were going to go with a Mustang, but then some friend of the creators was like, "No, you have to make it a '76 Impala because that car is big enough that you can hide a body in the trunk, which kind of gives it the like, oh, this is like a menacing, like only like ne'er-do-wells would drive a '76 Impala."
Agreed. Yeah, that's a good call. It's way more cool and menacing to have the
Yeah,
bigger like the muscle car rather
yeah,
than
yeah,
the
yeah,
sports car.
yeah.
Like a 70s Mustang would be dope as shit, but
But that's
not
more
what we're going for.
flashy.
Yeah,
Like these guys are like they're not out for flashy.
no,
They're flying under the radar.
that's right. We also also 2005, it's still the notion of having a pile of cassettes in your car, I guess, could have been a thing. In
Sure.
2005, I didn't have a CD player in my car. I had a cassette deck on the
Yeah.
car that I drove.
I know. I love the fact that like Sam is making fun of Dean for one, just having cassettes and having a
Uh-huh.
tape deck. And he's like, you should listen to like Led Zeppelin and Motorhead. This is total mullet rock.
Put on Chaperone.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Like she's like a 4-year-old in Missouri at this time. Yeah. Well, they arrive at the bridge. The
Like,
cops
oh,
everywhere. So
oh,
Dean has a box full of just fake government agent IDs.
why wouldn't you?
So they're federal marshals now.
Even though they look 20 years old.
Uh-huh. Which their characters are. Sam is literally 21 or 22 if he's in
Yeah.
his senior year of college. So they start investigating again. There's in all of these cases we're going to learn there was no sign of struggle, no fingerprints, nothing at all.
Yeah.
All right, now they're gonna meet up with this dude who just died, his girlfriend Amy, who's putting up missing person signs. And Amy's friend tells them, "Hey, there's this local legend about a girl that was murdered on that road decades
Local
ago.
legend. We
She
love a local legend
hitchhikes."
when you're a supernatural investigator.
I like the urban legend quality of this, and
Amazing.
yeah, it's so great. I think episode 4 is about Bloody Mary. I think episode 5 maybe
Yeah.
they get into the Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror. It's great. So this ghost woman who she hitchhikes, and whoever she picks up, they disappear forever.
Oh no.
Let's do a web search.
Oh my God. Let's get onto the World Wide Web.
Are you more of like a are
Ask
you a
Jeeves.
Yahoo search engine
Ask
guy?
Jeeves all the way.
And they find this woman, what is her name? Constance Welch, who she wasn't murdered. She died by suicide in 1981 jumping off that bridge. And her 2 children had died in the bathtub earlier that day.
Ah.
And her
And she just couldn't
husband's
handle it.
yeah, her husband was like she just couldn't bear it, I guess, anymore.
But the husband's still alive.
But the husband is still alive. Um, so they see they're out on the bridge late at night investigating, and they see the woman in white, and they see her do her dive off the bridge, and they go to look and investigate. Suddenly that 76 Impala lights up and drives right at them.
I love it. I
It's
love that
great.
she's just like, fuck you guys.
Yeah. I'm never quite sure this is very like even though there's all these supernatural sci-fi and horror elements to this show, it really is like a cop procedural.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It is crime of the week or whatever.
It's a detective
Yeah.
show. But instead of, murder, instead of Sam Spade, it's Monster of the Week.
Yeah, a total monster of the week. It reminded me, I think one of the shows that I watched pretty religiously as a kid was Quantum Leap.
Oh
For whatever
yeah.
reason, I really loved
Sure.
or whatever. It was a good show. Of course I
Yeah.
liked it. But
Quirky and
as
fun.
yeah, it was super fun. This has the same thing of like, I'm just in a different place. And in that show, a different place and time and body. But in this show, like you travel to different places and you solve crimes. That's kind of
Yeah.
what we learned on the X-Files bonus
Yeah.
episodes too.
I mean, I saw this as the 2000s version of Murder, She Wrote,
Yeah, totally.
you know?
I could not help but to think like that. I can't imagine these boys making it through 19 seasons
I
and,
know.
and never just going to federal prison for life.
Well, that's the thing is that like I am kind of curious to see where this show, and I know it's like I've heard from sources that season one, okay,
Mhm.
but then it kind of picks up, and they did not extrapolate on why it picks up, but I think it gets into more of the like overarching story. So I think season one is going to be your monster of the week kind of stuff, like the first 3 episodes that we watched.
Mhm.
But I get the feeling that later it becomes much more the web of supernatural.
Yeah.
probably to do with the bigger story of the dad, the mom, the demons. Who knows?
And this show ends up going from 2005 to 2020. It's straddling two eras of how we consume television,
Yeah.
of the classic network model,
Yeah.
wherein which was a different era than like 90s network model because
Sure.
at least in 2005 you're like, well, I could get the DVDs from Netflix
That's right.
to catch up.
Yeah.
But by the time the mid 2010s roll around, like
All
everything's
streaming.
available streaming. Yeah.
All streaming.
All right, so they check into a hotel. These guys are using fake IDs. They've got who knows
Now
whose
this
fucking
is
credit card.
now this is wild to me.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Dad and Dean exist financially by signing up for credit cards using fake names
Uh-huh.
and just using those credit cards until those credit cards are registered as fraud, and then they just ditch those cards.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that's a great idea. I might give it a shot.
This to me is the most 2005 kind of baby generation of the internet,
Uh-huh.
because that shit would be shut down. You're like, oh, we need your three-step verification,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes.
Like just shows how much, like that to me was like shows how much banking and finance has changed in the era of smartphones, where they're like, this is me.
Uh-huh.
I can prove it's me. Here's my online ID.
Yeah. Well, Dean gets arrested at this hotel because the cops who
Yeah.
saw him earlier posing as a federal marshal are like, that's the dude. And now he gets arrested by the sheriff who tells him, like, you are now an official suspect for everything because the
Yeah.
hotel room you went into was also checked in by your dad under the same fake credit card name.
Yeah.
And there's all this shit pinned up on the wall about all of these dead bodies.
Oh my God, I know. So they caught the dad. No, they didn't catch the dad, but they investigated the hotel room and they took some of the dad's stuff,
Yes. And one of
including
the
the monster Bible.
yes.
This is one of my fucking favorite tropes.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be they're like, here, especially in episode 3, they're like, this book right here. This book has every monster that we're going to cover over the course of this television show. Pay close attention.
Amazing. It makes me it's the my cultural reference to this is definitely Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yes,
It's like it's got Father Sean Connery's little book of
it's the book of notes.
yeah, book of notes, and it's always a great reference point. And the sheriff says, "Yeah, I learned your name from this book. You're his son." And he was like, "What the fuck is this message?" And shows him a page. It says Dean 35-111. He's like, "Hey man, that was just my high school locker combo." I'm like, that
Oh,
doesn't make it
Dean.
that doesn't quite work, Dean, but I love it.
I do like Dean, like it's very his James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause, is very Dean's
Hmm.
like style.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very purposeful name. The use of names in this show is very
Yeah.
funny. Like all of the
I mean,
fake
it's
names.
interesting, like, because their last name is Winchester, right?
Uh-huh.
And like the Winchester family is one, like they built the Winchester rifle, which is,
Uh-huh.
the gun that won the West, you know, and then
Uh-huh.
also, the sort of the widow of the Winchester family, who was kind of convinced that she was like, her and her husband were haunted by the ghosts of all the people that were killed by the Winchester rifle.
And
So
then
there's already a like sort of rootin' tootin' gunslinger Americana
yes.
cowboy connotation and a supernatural haunted where the veil is thin connotation to the name Winchester. So perfect
Perfect.
surname.
Well, the sheriff and his deputy get a phone call about like active shooter or something
Yeah, they're like,
crazy
oh
like that. And they're
shit, we
like,
gotta go.
we got to go. Do you have to use the bathroom? No. Good. And he handcuffs Dean to his desk, which Dean is like, oh, you left all this other shit out. So he just picks the lock with a paper clip and gets out of there,
Sure.
which we find out later was Sam's fake 911 call. I'm like, oh my God, so
Sam.
many federal crimes.
Sam. are you going to include this in your Stanford law interview? They're like, what did you do this weekend? Well, I called in an active shooting threat to get my brother out of jail so we can investigate a ghost murder.
Uh-huh.
And then my girlfriend burnt up by a demon. But I'm still here and I'm very excited to attend Stanford Law in the fall.
hmm So Sam is now, so the part of each of these episodes that we watch, we have to figure out what the monster is first. One,
Yes.
we know there's a monster at work.
Yep. Something
Two,
something supernatural, but
something supernatural. The
could be anything.
entire like encyclopedia of crazy monsters is at play here.
Yeah.
So every kind of monster, I'm sure do we get to a Jersey Devil, a Chupacabra, a
I know.
Mothman?
Yeah.
Who knows? But in this one, it is the woman in white. And the woman in white, Wailing Woman,
It's the hitchhiker story. Yeah.
yes. And combined with this like the forlorn, the wailing woman sort of thing, like
Yeah.
the trope that he explains, Sam does, is that like they had unfaithful husbands. They kill their children because they can't deal with it, and then they kill themselves.
It's essentially like the story of Medea.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Medea meets Banshee
hmm
meets Hitchhiker.
Yeah. Y'all, we haven't even made it to like this is 2005. We're not even hashtag girl boss territory yet.
No, not
Like
yet.
2024, we're like, oh, hashtag girl boss, so silly. I'm like, listen, it was needed for a short time because this is not a flattering depiction of women that this show likes
No,
to make.
no.
Okay. He confronts Joseph, Constance's husband, the widower. And Joseph kind of hesitates when he was like, so you had a happy marriage. And he's like,
Uh,
I mean, maybe I made some mistakes, but
mhm.
Constance wouldn't have killed her children. So now we kind of have it like, oh, I think Joseph was unfaithful to
This sounds
the
like a
most,
confession to me.
yeah. So uh Sam out at night on the road sees the woman in white all of a sudden while he's on the phone with Dean and then just plows right through her, but she's a ghost, so that's a
She
way to
just sits in
scoop
his
her up.
car. She
Yep.
just sits down in his car.
She's like, take me home. And he's like, no. She locks the doors and controls the car to drive automatically to the house.
She just drives to, okay. And she's
She
they're now
climbs on
sitting in the
Sam.
driveway. She's like, I
Yeah, she's
can't
like,
go home.
hold me. And he's like, I am not unfaithful. And she's like, you will be. I'm like,
What?
whoa. No
Starts
means
grind,
no, ma'am.
starts grinding up on him.
Connie,
Oh my
no.
goodness.
And she then turns into a demon, starts tearing into his chest. Like you see, like
Like
five
the
fingers
yeah, like a
going
little
into.
I do like the special effects in this first episode. I mean,
Mhm.
they're pretty CGI rudimentary, but I kind of like it's not overly used, and it's kind of like we kind of get Skullface
Yeah.
as Ghost, which to me is like a pretty good indication of Ghost. I like these special effects better than what we get at the very end, which is hilarious, to
Uh-huh.
be fair. But I
Uh-huh.
like this little special effects sequence because Dean runs in and, like, Dean kind of runs to the rescue and starts shooting, and he's shooting at a ghost. Doesn't really hurt the ghost, but it at least distracts her. But every time he shoots, she kind of flickers from hot Megan Fox to Ghostface and kind of has to recalibrate herself. Like he's like jiggling the wires of her ghostiness.
Yeah. Um, and then finally it gives it, and like you said, it doesn't do anything to the ghost, but it gives Sam a moment to come to, and he floors the car, and he's like, "All
He's
right,
like,
I am taking you home,"
I'm
and it
taking you home.
drives that car right into the front living room of the house. And this inside the house, she sees a photo of herself and the kids. And then those kids show up at the top of the stairs,
Little ghost kid,
backlit.
little wet ghost kids.
Ugh. And there's like just like water pouring down the stairwell.
It's just like dark water.
Uh-huh. And they're like, you've come home to us,
Mommy,
mommy.
mommy.
Mother, mummy.
I love how even though they're in California, they still have inexplicable British accents for no reason.
And they both run to hug her, and then there's
A portal to hell opens up.
and then zips them all down into the floor.
They're like, "You're coming with us, mummy."
So that's kind of like the revenge thing, right? Like
Well,
that's
because
the
it's like, well, because she's
vengeful
trapped
spirit.
on the, yeah, she's trapped on the earthly plane because she can't find rest,
Yeah.
right? And so the whole thing is they want to find her body to like salt the bones, burn them,
Uh-huh.
dust them, put the bones to rest, kind of traditional, like put the bones in hallowed ground kind of thing is kind of what they want to do. But what they end up doing is kind of okay, we're going to make the spirit recognize her crime.
Uh-huh.
And then the kids just suck
Yeah.
her in and be like,
So
oh, nope,
so she as a
into the
standalone,
afterworld you go.
yeah. So she as a standalone is a vengeful spirit killing in men who are have
Unfaithful. Yeah.
unfaithful men. And but then we learn, well, because she killed these kids are vengeful spirits that are like, "Mommy, we've come
Yeah.
to take you
Yeah.
home
You
to
got to go
hell."
to the bad place
Hmm.
in a
Well,
flame of blue CGI,
okay.
blue goop.
Well,
Case
Dean's like,
solved.
solved, case solved. Good job, Sammy. You did it. And now let's go to Blackwater Ridge, Colorado, which is where we think those that 35-111, those are coordinates from Dad. And that's going to be in Blackwater Ridge, Colorado. And Sam's like, man, I love it. I love
I
you, bud,
told
but
you.
interviews in 10 hours, Dean. I got to be there. And so Dean says, I'll take you home.
All right.
Hey, we can meet up later. We can make a
Yeah,
hell
but
of a
it's
team,
not.
Sammy.
Yeah, but you can tell that they're doing like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
See you in another couple of years.
But when he gets back to his dorm, he like crashes on the couch, lays down, and then blood drip, 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 just like in the opening when he was a
Oh
baby.
no.
And he looks up and there's Jess on the ceiling, just like Mama.
Oh no.
And then the whole place goes up in flames. And their last shot is Sam and Dean in the Pulp Fiction trunk shot.
Yeah.
Sam going,
Sam is pissed.
we got work to do. Slam credits.
Oh my.
Wow, good pilot. I
Yeah,
loved it.
because I mean, listen, it sets everything up. We've set up, like I said, like we've set up the monster of the week, kind of how these episodes are going to go, but we've also given ourselves a framework of like, there's a demon that took our mom. Our dad can't figure it out. Our dad is missing, trying to figure out the big bad. We're going to catch our dad, but also try to figure out the big bad as well.
Yeah.
So there's like a mystery within a mystery within a mystery. Sounds great.
Yeah. Episode 2. When I've always said Wendigo, they say Wendigo in this show.
Yeah.
Wendigo is correct.
I think either one's correct.
Okay, great. Wendigo. All right, we get it. Blackwater Ridge, Lost Creek, Colorado. Bunch of
Well, we
bros.
get well, we get a little bit of a oh, that's right. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
bunch of bros.
Bros and puka shells playing. I don't know
What
what
is that
came before it.
Nintendo D like a Nintendo
A
DS
Nintendo DL.
style?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
whatever. Nintendo DL.
And
Shh, we're on the DL. Shh, we're on the DL.
and they're just they're
They're
it's
broing
a
out.
funny setup because we're all camping in the woods, but we're playing video games is
Yes.
what we're doing.
And there's two bros, they're broing out. And then there's the third bro in puka shells who's
Uh-huh.
like checking in with his GPS phone, who sends a little message to somebody who's like, hey, we're camped out, we're cool, we're all safe. Love ya. Gotta go. Bye.
Yeah. And one of the dudes steps out. Nature calls, man. Got to step outside.
Rustling bushes.
Yep, definitely
Rustling
some monster
bushes.
out there, and he gets yanked away. Other dude peeks out, gets fully yanked into the sky out of the
Yep.
tent. And the last dude, like the monster, just tears open the tent and comes in after him.
Oh no.
Uh, so cut to Sam and Dean. Sam is having bad dreams about Jessica. He
I
goes
like
to.
this. I like this fake open
I do too.
because it gives you the credits. It's like Palo Alto, California.
And he's
Sam is real sad, and he's at the gravesite of his girlfriend, and he's like, I should have been there. Puts the flowers down, and we get the hand out of the grave, pretty classical, but it's just a dream. So I love it when like we've been led down the path because we've been given a place stamp, like which clearly don't belong in dreams.
yep.
You don't get a dream stamp where you're like in your bed,
Right.
in your house, the future.
Well,
But Dean
there
is like, oh, you're just not doing all right. And Sam's got he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder this episode.
yeah.
He's pissed. Demon took his girlfriend.
Yeah. We got to find that thing that killed Jessica. But um Dean is wanting to they're constantly having these arguments about what's the priority, what are we doing?
Yes.
And in this episode, it's like my girlfriend's dead and I want to find the thing that killed her. And that's Sam's point of view. And Dean says, listen, let's go find Dad first.
Yes.
Let's do the thing directly in front of us
Yeah.
because
Because
Dad will know
that's
what
the
to do.
trail. Dad will know. Even though, like, Dad spent, I don't know, their entire lives trying to find the thing that killed Mom, but never really got anywhere with that. But okay, sure, sure.
Uh-huh.
Listen, why not?
Yes. Um, Jillian always had this phrase, and I love this phrase called dead dad is magic.
Yeah.
Meaning
Oh,
like
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like when father passes away. And this is not to take anything away from anyone who has ever lost a father or wants to be in touch with their father or has great thoughts about their father, but it's the idea that when dads die, the way we talk about dead dads, and this dad isn't dead, but he is missing. So there
Yeah.
is an equivalent. It's always the mystique of the father who's not there. He could have
Yeah.
solved everything. If dad were here, he'd
He
know
would know
what
what
to
to do.
do.
Dad would know what to do.
Yes.
See this book of notes? This is our Bible.
Uh-huh.
This is the most important legacy that Dad has left us. This is our work now.
Uh-huh.
Also, did you notice? Okay, so like episode one, um, older generation dirtbag cheats on his wife, wife kills kids, wife turns into a ghost.
Yeah.
Episode two, thing hunting in the forest. Um, pretty lady hires douchebag hunter.
Uh-huh.
Douchebag hunter leads them all into the forest. Sam and Dean must sweep in. Episode three, dead in the water. Dirtbag sheriff gets whole community into
Yeah.
trouble. So like I'm noticing a pattern that it's like dirtbag men,
Uh-huh.
older generation dirtbag men get pretty hot younger girls in trouble. Sam and Dean must swoop in and save hot younger girls from monsters and baby boomer men.
There are so many complicated daddy issues in this show through
Right?
3 episodes. And I can tell you it goes through episode 5. And
Oh
those
my
of you who've
God.
watched more than
Does it
this,
continue?
it continues pretty hardcore. Uh yeah,
But
it's
I'm just noticing a theme here
uh-huh.
that it's like Sam and Dean are like, sure, they got their problems, you know, sure.
Uh-huh.
But it does seem to be like a little bit of an indictment of the
Yes.
older generation.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's really interesting while also simultaneously clinging to the older generation. And,
Yeah.
and our father is a good guy,
Yeah.
but every
He
man
might have
so
made
far.
mistakes by handing a handgun to a 9-year-old to shoot monsters in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
closet.
But he meant
But
well, where these guys were bad.
yeah,
All right, so here's the long and short of this. Like, they're going to pretend to be forest rangers. They're
yeah,
going to go visit one of the boys, Tommy, who's missing. His sister, Haley, was who was getting those video updates from
yeah.
the satellite phone. Haley is, of course, hot
Super
and
hot.
super hot. And it's just her brothers. So it's her brother, Tommy, and then her much younger brother, whose name I don't think we ever learn. So,
Other
uh,
brother.
yes. And the story around all of these things, this I watched a little bit of Fringe when it was on the air at this time. It was kind of the weird supernatural show I think I was into. But there's always a we have to have a natural thing to explain the supernatural
Yes.
shit happening.
Right.
And this story,
For the newspapers to pin it on, right?
yes. So this is bear attacks.
Grizzly
So
bears.
grizzlies keep killing campers. Um, and they're like, these bear attacks seem to happen once every 23 years, like on the dot.
Ooh.
They found a man who survived the 1959 attack as a child, and they go visit him, and he's an old man now, of course. And they there's kind of this recurring thing too of we have to this happens in episode 3 too, of, like we have to find an empathy with somebody to let them
Yes.
know we understand.
Yeah. Like
How
we
do we
can't come out and say we believe in supernatural shit. So whatever crazy cockamamie story you tell us, we're probably going to buy it.
yeah.
But we have to like, normally it's Sam with his floppy hair and his sad eyes is like, please tell us your story in the most empathetic way possible. And
Uh-huh.
we all kind of go, oh,
Yeah.
and they tell us a crazy cockamamie story and we all
Yeah.
believe it.
He tells them like you wouldn't I mean, he's like, Honestly, I didn't see what attacked my family
I
because it
know.
moved too fast. It
But
moved too well.
and they were like, well, did it come into your tent? He's like, no, I was in a cabin, but it didn't bust down the door or break in a window. It unlocked the cabin door. What kind of bear does that?
Uh-huh. Like a
I'm
really
like,
smart
listen,
bear.
I've seen bears do all sorts of things,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
that is a good point, sir.
And he shows them the giant claw marks on his
I
chest,
know.
which Dean is like that. Those are too big to belong to a bear. But he also says, well, at least now we know. Okay, now we know a monster is attacked. Step two,
Yep.
what is
Yep.
the monster?
What is monster?
Could be we're a little fast and loose with our Native American cultural things of
Yeah.
skinwalker or
This gets a
whatever.
little like, okay, all
Okay.
right.
But he's like, or just some kind of, or a black dog, which is very like old English sort of
Yeah.
monstery thing. And
But we
Sam
know
is like, we know
it
it's
has a
physical.
body. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has a
we can
body.
kill it. Okay.
Let's go into the woods. Let's go into the woods. Let's follow Hot Girl
Uh-huh.
into the
She, she
woods.
she's got a hired gun,
Yeah.
Roy.
Oh,
Roy.
Roy.
Well, the camera then shows us the dungeon that the camper bros
Yeah.
are hanging in. So whatever took them didn't kill them right away. It stored them.
Now this I thought this was surprising. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, so it's
Uh-huh.
an intelligent. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And
And
Puka Shell is still alive.
uh-huh. And all three of them are still alive. However, one of them is about to not be.
Very, yes.
And it's apparent that a monster comes at one of them, and the camera pans away. The camera pans away to Tommy's face just as you hear the crunch,
He's
crunch,
very,
crunch,
oh no.
and screaming. So Roy thinks he's the smartest guy in the
Of
group.
course. He's the hunter.
He's the hunter. Well, Dean is being a smartass at him. Roy actually like grabs him and he's like, "What are you grabbing me for?" And Roy points down and he's like, "You almost stepped in that bear trap." Very
Now,
funny.
admittedly, I like Hot Girl in this episode because she's like, who the fuck are you guys?
Yeah.
You say you're park rangers, you're wearing jeans and like fucking motorcycle boots.
Uh-huh.
You did not bring any provisions, no water, no food. You've got a duffel bag filled with bullshit.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck?
He's like, Dean's like, I did bring provisions. He has a giant bag of M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms. I love it.
Yep.
I love the fact that like you get the impression Dean was raised as like a feral child.
Very much so. Yeah.
Like Sam, I mean, they were probably both raised similarly, but Sam is like, he's like, oh my God, just get, please, stability, structure. And Dean
Yeah.
is like, I'm going to eat Pop-Tarts for every meal.
And they admit, obviously, that they're not rangers, but they're looking for their father. So this is actually
Yes.
much better inroads to her, to
Yeah.
Haley, to say, like,
They're like,
listen,
our dad is missing, just
and
like your brother
from
is missing.
from this
Yeah.
location that he sent us. And then they find right at that
Which to me, I
30.
was like, I don't know if that makes it better because that also kind of sounds like maybe your dad killed your brother. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's better or worse.
true. But they, right at that location, 35, -111, they discovered this bloodstained campsite where Tommy and the
Uh-oh.
boys were. And they noticed that the bodies had been dragged away, but then the tracks disappear. They hear cries for help, and it is Sam who points out, you know what it is? That's a Wendigo or Wendigo. They can imitate human voices, they can imitate
Oh.
sounds. So we gotta go
Yeah.
because
They're
that thing
like,
gonna fuck us up.
yeah. And they describe it as like the perfect hunter.
Uh-huh.
And I like, the Wendigo myth is like multi-layered and textured depending on
Yeah.
who you talk to and what mythology you go to. But the way they describe it is something akin to like somebody who eats the flesh of another human being. They become addicted to that flesh. They get certain gifts, such as speed, stealth,
Uh-huh.
but they also kind of become subhuman. So they kind of become less than human.
Yeah, they become a different sort of beast altogether. And also it's sort of implied that they have to regularly eat human flesh to
Yes.
stay immortal, to stay alive as a creature. So,
And they kind of hibernate for 22, 23 years, and then they go
uh-huh.
out and hunt,
Uh-huh.
and they nom nom nom,
Uh-huh.
and then they go to bed for a while.
Yep. What a life.
That sounds all right.
Yeah. It's a regimented diet. You
It's
eat
it's
on a schedule.
lonely, but
Yeah.
we call it the keto diet.
And of course, like Haley is like, I'm not leaving here, not without Tommy.
Makes sense.
And Dean is like, you know,
Like
we'll
these
never
things are
beat it.
dangerous in the day, but they're like we're toast at night.
Yeah. So we need to settle in and protect ourselves. Roy is being like, you guys are fucking idiots. And
Yeah. Ooh, I'm not afraid of any ghost stories, which
Sam's
of course
like,
means you're the first one dead, of course.
yeah. And Sam is getting real fucking pissed off at Roy.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, at night, they build a campfire and then Dean puts Anasazi symbols out around their campfire. He's like, that's for protection. And Roy's like, thumbs
Mumbo
down,
jumbo.
fart sound, thumbs down.
Yeah.
And so they hold on, let me pause just a second here. I'm just gonna skip through the stuff we already talked about where they argue about Jessica's killer and yada yada yada. Okay, now we're gonna get the shouts for help. It's drawn all these people's attention. They hear the monster moving about, and
Yeah.
Roy is now like, okay, yeah, that's not a grizzly bear.
Yeah. Because also it draws them out and they're like, and they kind of go back to camp and it's taken all their backpacks.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
And
Yes.
so Roy's like, that's clearly not a bear.
Yeah.
Point Roy, yes, that is probably not a bear.
Yeah. And then when the creature's moving around, Roy opens fire. It clearly hits it. And he's
Yes.
like, I got it. And he chases it down because he knows the animal is wounded. He can
Yeah.
finish it off. But
But what
Roy
really,
gets yoinked
yeah, I
straight
love
up
it.
into a tree.
I love a monster cam.
Yes. I
Good old.
like the grab by just the head and just
Yes.
yanking straight up, picking
Yep.
it up like it's a bottle of Diet Coke. Like,
Yep. That's
just
it.
so good.
Like it's got a handle, and that
Uh-huh.
handle is your noggin.
So they Dean says, he tells Haley, he's like, the only way that we're gonna get away, that we're really gonna kill this thing is with fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
got
Because we
it.
can't shoot it. It's too
Yeah,
fast.
too fast. And so you know, the Wendigo drops Roy's corpse on them from above. That's one
Sure.
thing it does. And they're like, oh, it killed him instead of eating him because Roy pissed him off. Roy pissed the creature off. Well, they get separated, and Dean and Haley come face to face with the monster. Meanwhile, Sam, an unnamed younger brother,
Spare brother.
Bear, Spare Junior, uh, hear them screaming, and the way they
Right.
have to track them is through Dean left them a trail of peanut M&Ms.
Because they got snatched.
So good. Down in the mine, they find Haley and Dean hanging in the dungeon, and so is Tommy,
Yeah.
still alive.
Oh, hey.
Dean finds two flare guns.
Oh, perfect.
We got two
Because this thing's
shots.
been, yeah, he's been collecting backpacks for,
Yeah, of
I don't know,
course.
decades.
Yeah. He hasn't had time to put this shit up on eBay.
No.
Dean runs interference to draw out the monster. Sam tries to get the others to safety, but they end up getting cornered.
Oh, no. We kind of see what the Wendigo looks like, but not really. Again, this is very like, we're not really putting all of our budget into monster effects in this show, I will say.
No, and the monster has two speeds. It has the
It
moving
has,
at
yeah,
1 frame per second,
yeah,
or
it
I'm
is
sorry,
like so
80 frames
fast
per second.
so fast we cannot see it
Uh-huh.
and lumbering
Yes. And it chooses lumbering here at the end.
mostly.
Yeah. And yeah, he Sam has already used his flare when the monster first attacked and missed. And they're fully trapped, and Sam's got all the people behind him trying to, he's like, I'll be the front line of defense. But then here comes Dean. Bachoom! Flare gun
Oh,
to the belly.
it kind of looks like a Nosferatu to me.
Yeah, it's a little Bat Boy looking.
Yeah, which I guess it's all right. Yeah, it's fine.
Fine, sure. I was
Sure.
thinking something a little bit more animalist, like a little bit more like
Yeah.
hairy,
Yeah, like
something in the bear
subhuman.
dog family.
Yeah, like, or caveman,
Oh
primal
yeah,
man would have been interesting. But we went Bat Boy Nosferatu.
yeah,
Okay, sure, why not? But
and
it explodes from the inside out and turns into CGI lava.
mhm. And yeah, we get a kiss from Haley,
Oh.
and the
And
little
we do learn a valuable lesson,
mhm,
as which is very important in these shows, which is, Dean has been doing this for a while, this like following dad in the monster hunting game. Sam is filled with rage over his newly dead girlfriend.
yeah,
And Sam is like, how do you not get just consumed with rage? And Dean kind of brings up the point of like the long game of monster hunting is, yes, you do want to eventually find out who killed our mom and who killed your girlfriend. But the thing is, you got to help the people along the way get reunited
mhm,
with their families so the same fucked up thing that happened to our family doesn't happen to them. So it's the
yes,
like, and that's kind of the message of the show that like keeps them hooked into the monster of the week. So that way they don't just go, screw this. Why don't we just go attack the big bad? Because we got to go to, Lake Winnetook, Wisconsin next week.
right. It's like in the new Zelda games like Breath of the Wild, you could go straight to the fucking castle and try and take it on, but like no, you need the XP, you need the experience points, you need all
Yes.
of the weapons, you need to
Yeah.
yeah, you got to build up your strength and your skills and all of that.
You got to get a kiss from a princess in every county across America.
Yep, yep. That's it. Yeah, that's one new heart
That's right.
container
You got
for
to build
Dean
up your
every
heart
kiss he
containers.
gets. Yeah. All right, episode 3, Dead in the Water. We're gonna go to Lake Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Uh,
Sure.
happy family at home. Dad and his two adult kids, like young adult, like 18
Yeah.
and 20,
Yeah.
maybe. And daughter's gonna go out for a swim in the lake, and she's very athletic. Like her brother
Yes.
even teases her, like boys don't like fit girls, like.
I thank you for saying that because
Uh-huh.
I swear to God, I rewound this 3 times and I guess I could have put on subtitles, but I swear to God, he said, guys don't like girls with buttholes. I was so confused.
I mean, I'm gonna say if your girl doesn't have a butthole, she's not lasting very long in life. The butthole is required,
There's
men.
something there's something very wrong.
Hmm. It's fine if you're not into
Guys
buttholes.
don't like girls with buttholes. I was like, what are they talking about? Did I just what?
He
Rewind,
was
rewind. Buttholes?
He's saying
What is
guys aren't into
happening?
fit girls, right?
Okay.
I think
Thank you.
that's what I heard.
Nope, that makes very much make sense. I heard buttholes.
Because she's very like
Yeah. No,
skinny, athletic.
yeah.
Like she violates
Like I
this
said,
sort
she's
of,
wearing her Juicy Couture sweatpants, matching tracksuit.
yeah. And but she doesn't fit the kind of like, especially that like 90s big boobed,
No,
model thing. She like
she's Sporty
fits more of
Spice.
the, yeah, she's sporty spice. She's like the hot athletic one. And
Yeah.
this guy is like, "Ooh, girls."
And she's
And,
like, girls don't like boys that live at home. Loser.
yeah, dunk. But she goes out into the lake. She's swimming. She kind of senses something is wrong. You can see it
Yeah.
on her face. And then killer cam from below, she gets like sucked down into the water. And the last shot we see is just a peaceful lake.
Supernatural.
Yeah,
I
title
do
card.
love I do love watching this with the like last week on Supernatural.
Oh yeah,
22 years later, the crime that started it all. It is kind of a bit nostalgic back to the days of,
sure.
back when episodic TV was actually on TV. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I know it is still to this day. I've just not watched episodic network television in like 30 years. So
Yeah.
it was quite fun to watch that.
I like this setup too of especially like again, this is a little bit nostalgic for an older person like me, which is going through a newspaper. Like this is a
Yes,
recurring
I
thing
know.
through some of these episodes where they search newspapers for the freaky
Mis-
shit that's
yeah,
happening.
mysterious deaths,
Yeah.
the obituaries,
Yeah.
the Weekly World News, the National Enquirer.
Yeah. It's got an X-Files thing going for it in
Yeah,
that way, right? And so like this is worth looking into. And they find this story about Sophie Carlton had gone missing in this lake. I, this is the third one this year. It's happened multiple times over a few years,
but it's speeding up.
and it's speeding up. And also, again, no bodies have ever been
Yeah,
found in these things, which is crazy.
yeah.
They
Let's
pose
go
at,
investigate.
they go to the sheriff and pose as U.S. Wildlife Service. Did you hear their agent names?
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's
Agent
Ford and
Ford.
Hamill.
This is Agent Hamill. So nerdy. These two boys do not strike me as Star Wars fans, by the way, but I
Probably
thought it was
not.
a cute line.
Yeah,
And again, Sophie's brother Will is like, man, she was like college scholarship
yeah.
swimmer. There's,
So it makes no sense. And they drag the lake. I mean, this is not a big lake. They drag the lake. No body was found.
yeah,
Not usual.
yeah. But the sheriff tells them, he's like, also, we did a sonar sweep. There is nothing in that lake. And he
Yeah.
says,
There's no
he's like, but
animals. There's no,
obviously,
yeah.
you're from U.S. Wildlife Services, you know that it won't be a problem much longer because this whole town's going to shit because the dam is failing and the federal government isn't paying to get it fixed.
So the dam is like the lake is drying up.
Yeah, in like 6 months, there won't be a lake, and probably at that point won't be much of a town.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Sounds like an economic crisis to me. That's what killed them.
And then suddenly the script writer is like, oh, no. We're at 16 minutes into this episode. Here's
We
a
need
hot
a hot
girl.
girl. Hot girl walks in.
Andrea Barr, daughter
Hot
of the
mom.
sheriff, and her cute little son, 9-year-old Lucas.
I don't know if cute's the word I would use.
He's cute. He's a little mop top. He's adorable. I mean, he's freaky, but he's a cute kid. Uh, but yeah, he's a little weird.
Yeah,
He's mute though, like he does not speak.
it's nonverbal. Because as we will learn, something tragic, similar tragedy, lake disappearance happened in
Yeah,
his family as well.
yeah. This well, we're gonna learn that Sam isn't buying this lake monster theory because in the case of a monster like Loch Ness, you're going to have sightings. People will
Yeah,
tell you
people
over
see
and over,
something.
I've seen it. Then Sam learns that one of the drownings from a few years back was Christopher Barr, Andrea's husband,
Oh my.
Lucas's father, and he's like, "Oh, that kid went full Tommy Pinball Wizard," is what
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. And he saw it and he witnessed it. I
Uh-huh.
love the like this is like, one of the episodes where we get the revealing press photo that helps us tell the story that
Uh-huh.
is like absolutely not a photo that would ever appear in a local newspaper. The first one being the like, the husband sort of sad and turned away. I was like, that is way too, that is like some art college bullshit. This one is like the kid looking like real sad, like wrapped in a towel. I'm like, that would never get printed in a newspaper. They're not putting
No,
the picture of the kid, the victim's kid, in the absolutely not.
no,
You
no.
need to have your journalistic credentials checked. If you're like,
Uh-huh.
look at this sad kid whose dad just disappeared and died. Isn't he sad? Everyone go point at him when you see him in town.
Well, when they learn this, Dean they go visit Andrea at like the public park. She's watching Lucas. Lucas isn't playing with the other kids. He just draws.
Just
He
draws all
just
day.
likes to draw. He loves to draw bicycles
Yes.
and just spirals
And
and then just some random other shit. He's drawing a rocket
I
ship
think
when
he
Dean
loves to draw spirals. I'm like, you didn't get that kid to a child psychologist.
arrives. But Dean is very much like, because he's flirty with all of these hot women he meets. Andrea is very on to his bullshit.
Yeah.
And he just says, let me go. Can I just go talk to him for a second? And it's Sam that has to tell her, listen, this isn't about him hitting on you. Like, I think,
Yeah.
that,
We're supernaturals. We're
yeah,
on a case, okay?
yeah. And, Andrea says, all the doctors said it's basically PTSD. But he finds something in drawing, so I'm just doing my best
Just let
here.
him
I'm
let
a
him let him draw.
single fucking mom dealing with a
Yeah.
kid who has a learning difference and
Yeah.
a communicative difference. And Dean goes over there, and Dean, this is the I have to connect with people, and in this case, it's a
Yes.
child. And he says, I I also had something real bad happen at my age too. Maybe you think no one would listen because it seems so crazy what you think you saw. But if you ever wanted to draw that for me, that'd be great. Here, I drew you a picture of my family, and it's real bad, just stick
No.
figures.
It's me and my stupid brother and my dad and my mom who got
Mhm.
burnt up by demons.
Lucas never looks up once.
No.
But at the end of this conversation with Andrea, Lucas walks up to Dean and hands him a drawing of a house. And Andrea looks kind of impressed, like, oh, he actually
Oh,
communicated something to
wow.
somebody. So now back at the household of Will Carlton, son of Bill Carlton. Here, Dad, I'll make you dinner. Dad, you're so depressed. Let
Yeah.
me make you dinner. And the sink fills
No.
with dirty water, Cecil.
No. Now, this was especially triggering for me. I don't know when you're listening to this episode
Uh-huh.
of Random Horror 9, but this is what my water looks like currently living in Western North
Oh,
Carolina after
uh-huh.
Hurricane Helene. So I was like, oh, maybe I have like a lake monster. Maybe I have a ghost child lake monster.
Is
Nope,
it
we just have busted water pipes is what we have.
just don't put
Don't
your
put your hand in the
don't
dirty, like
no,
black demon water.
no. No, that's what Will does, and it won't drain, but then something grabs hold of him and pulls him headfirst into the sink, drowns him in the sink, and then
And
the
then
sink
and
drains
then
out.
it's in
So
the
this is
pipes, man.
interesting
It's in the
because
pipes.
it's in the pipes. Yeah, maybe it's just the lake itself Dean and Sam are considering.
I
And
know.
and it knows because of the dam, it knows it's running out of, it's trying to do
Yes.
something we've put a clock on it. So
Yeah.
it's got to do its dirty
They're
work
like maybe it's
now.
a water sprite
Yeah.
or I don't know what else they talked about. Yeah, like but
Yeah.
it controls water. I don't know. It's a water bender.
Well, they're
It's
like, well, Will and Sophie are the kids of Bill Carlton, but also
sure.
look this up. Chris, Andrea's dead husband, he was Bill Carlton's godson. So there's some
Oh.
connections to Bill Carlton. What's the deal? And when they
So
visit Bill, Bill's just like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. He's like, it is losing your children. He says it's worse than dying. It's like that's the pain he feels.
that's pretty bad.
They visit Lucas again and
Well,
Andrea.
well, we
Lucas sure is
see
drawing a lot of bikes.
drawing that red bike.
But they visit him because the drawing Lucas gave Dean matches Bill Carlton's house. It looks just like it.
But they're like, hey, how'd you know something bad was going to happen at this house?
Yeah.
And this nonverbal kid just like brings out another drawing,
Uh-huh.
points at that drawing, spooky kid. He's like, here's your next clue.
Yep. It's a yellow house with a church next door and a little kid on a next to a bike.
They're like, well, this could be anything. But how many white churches are there in this little community? Oh,
Oh, how many yellow
smart
houses next
Sam.
to white churches? Yeah, so they go visit that house, and there's an old woman in that house, and she's like, yeah, that my little boy has been dead for 35 years now. He just disappeared.
Yeah.
And losing a child, it's worse than dying. Oh, heard that before. He was supposed to ride his bike straight home after school, and he never came home. Never found him or the bike.
Missing kid.
And we learn through a photo, they see a photo up of her son, Peter Sweeney,
He was a little Boy Scout.
little Boy Scout, with the other young little Boy Scout, Bill Carlton. Little photo. It says
Oh
1970, Bill Carlton,
no.
Peter Sweeney. Oh, they were friends. So,
I love that everyone has like the perfect family photos, like every episode. Family
yes,
photos displayed on display, ready to put those clues together. Do you
yes.
know how far down I would have to dig to find a fucking family photo?
Oh my God.
Like, I mean, yeah, like mom, dad, my brother, sure. Like, those are like, there's like a couple of those stashed around, but like anything beyond that, boxes underneath boxes.
Yes. Um, just thrillers, procedurals, horror movies, any kind of genre where there's research.
Yeah.
Research looks so fun and easy.
It's so easy. You just walk into somebody's house, one of you interviews the person, and the other person just sort of casually like looks around at desktops and bookshelves,
Uh-huh.
and you discover the clue.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound hard at all.
No, super easy.
Supernatural.
Well, they go back to the lake, but like right before we get there, we see Bill sitting out on the lake having a conversation with the
Yeah.
lake,
He's
saying,
fucking talking to the lake.
I think I finally know what you want, man."
That's not good.
Sam and Dean get there. They see Bill already on the motorboat in the lake, and then the boat gets fucking tossed and then pulled down under.
It's like it hits an invisible wall.
Yeah.
Again, noticing a trend with Supernatural.
Hmm.
People may die, but they're not violent deaths. They're like shocking deaths.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, the sheriff confronts these two boys.
He's like, I did some research. Y'all ain't who you said you are. I'm going to arrest you, or you can get the fuck out of my town.
Yeah, because you were the last people around Bill, and
Yeah.
I've just got you saying the lake disappeared him.
Yes.
So, yeah, you've got those two options. So they're like, Sam's like, well, I guess we're leaving town.
I guess we got to go.
That's the choice I'd make too. But Dean's not so sure, and Dean has a hunch they shouldn't be leaving town.
And Dean is now trauma bonded to this child, of course.
Yes, of course. And they're going to turn back, but we're at Lucas and
Later
Mom's
that
house.
night,
Mm-hmm. Lucas is
mom
just
is
drawing
taking it.
black
Oh my
spirals.
God, just digging that crayon.
Like he's holding it with a fist. I'm like,
Like
okay.
auto drawing in, and he's going into the spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Mom is just prepping for a nice quiet bath up to her nose.
I was so distracted by this bath because, okay, this goes into the fact that knowing that this is a primetime television show on network TV
Mhm.
as opposed to a movie.
Yes.
So in a movie, I don't bat an
Or
eye
an HBO.
or HBO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something on cable where you can see where you're going to you could see nudity.
Yes.
And I'm never like really distracted because in a movie you just kind of like work through like you're just going to have nudity and it is what it is.
Yeah.
This scene works double time hard to show you as much of this actress as it can. And then she is working extra
Like,
hard to cover all the parts and pieces.
yeah.
The effort is so palpable
Yeah.
in this bath scene that I'm like, I've lost the plot now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how are the camera movements and hand movements going to sync up to show the weirdest bath of all
The most
time?
uncomfortable bath possible. See, yes, and I was like, they're taking like this water is full up to like half an inch to the top of the tub.
Uh-huh.
That was what was distracting me. I was like, Jesus Christ, I think that tub is full enough, lady. Turn it off.
Don't you know displacement?
Good Lord. That is just a mess waiting to happen.
Uh-huh.
And that's even before the death black water, ghost water comes out.
Right. Well,
Sure
the
enough, ghost
that black
water.
ghost water turns green brown. She gets pulled under. Lucas is pounding on the door. Sam and Dean arrive just in time, and Lucas is like letting them in, running them up the stairs. Water's pouring down the stairs.
Dean's got to kick
Sam
open the door like a badass.
Sam pulls her out of the water, and I'm like, again, I'm just like, I'm so watching the way she
It's
holds
like, yeah, it's like he
herself.
grabs her by the tits. So that
Uh-huh.
way he's got his arms around her nipples and she's got her like
Hand on her crotch, and
it's they're like
this
it seems very technical.
it was so much.
Like they're like, okay, this has got to be choreographed precisely so that way it can be on TV.
Hilarious. Just hilarious. It would have been less distracting if they had just filmed it normal.
Yeah.
Like, let the actors be actors and fulfill the scene. And you just either in editing, you could just put a blur mark or a digitized mark over dirty parts. And I don't think we would have been that distracted by it.
Or adjust the lighting.
Yeah.
This is my thing is that like a lot of television, it's very like we have like television is often like you have to see everything. Like you don't want people to work or think, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like spooky. That's about all you're going to get. So everything has to be like you have to see every single part of it versus like, I don't know, make it a little bit darker, make it a little bit more obscured with the lighting
Yeah.
rather than just like, I don't know.
It was hilarious
It
and
was hilarious.
just super
It looks like a
distracting.
commercial
Uh-huh.
for scary water bath bombs. Hey, do you like your Lush murdery? Bath bombs by Lush.
Hmm.
Hope you don't die.
So the next day, Andrea confides in Sam.
She's like,
Hey,
something fucking pulled me
yeah, he's
under.
asking her what was like what did you experience when the water pulled you down? And she says, I heard a voice saying, "Come play with me." Excuse me, a little
Come
burp,
play
little
with
burpy
me. And
burp.
of course, it's Sam that's doing these things. Empathetic Sam with his
Mm-hmm.
floppy hair and his big sad eyes.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Dean is just off sifting through all of her photo albums,
Sure.
and then he finds a photo of Bill and Peter. I'm sorry, Bill and Sheriff Jake, her dad.
Yes. Who was
Bill and
also a
Jake
Boy
are
Scout. They're
with,
all Boy Scouts together.
they were all Boy Scouts together. They were friends. And then they see Lucas marches them outside and just points at a patch of
This fucking
ground.
creepy kid.
And they start digging and they find a bicycle.
It's a red bike.
And Sheriff Dad shows up and is like, gun drawn.
I know, right?
How'd you know that was there? I'm like, wait a minute. You
Whoa,
just
whoa.
immediate self
I know,
incrimination.
right? You're like, okay. Well, I mean, admittedly, he did tell them to get the fuck out of town.
He did, but at that point, it's like,
Like, why do you care that there's a bike in the ground
yeah, why?
in your
I'm
daughter's backyard?
at this point, if you had just remained calm, you could just arrest them for staying in
But
town.
this is where the like bad man acting, like bad
Yeah.
man crying, like really, because the daughter comes out, she's like, "What happened? What happened?" And he's like, "It was we didn't mean to." It was just a very
Yeah. Dean's like, you drowned Peter in the lake and buried the bike, and it once now whatever's it now, Ghost Peter,
yeah.
Peter Sweeney wants
It's
you to
coming
feel
after
the
your
same
family.
pain that his mother felt.
Yeah.
It's worse
And
than
it's going to
death.
kill your kids,
Yeah.
and then it's going to kill you.
Yes. So that's why it attacked her. And then you got Andrea being like, yeah, I got attacked by my bathtub last night.
Oh my God. My bath bomb of
Yeah.
death. Yeah, those seaweed bath bombs, they'll fuck you
Don't
up.
skimp on your bath bombs, y'all.
Absolutely. Like, you think you can go to the grocery store and get the like $1.50 bath bomb? Absolutely not.
No, no, you cannot get. She got hers from Kroger, is what happened.
Yeah,
No,
that's
fucking
it.
Food Lion. That's where it
Ugh,
was.
death.
So Jake basically admits to they bullied him too much and they held his head underwater one
They
time and
drowned him.
thinking like, oh, that's funny, but he drowned when they did that. We let the body go and it sank, which kind of ruins the idea of like we got to dig up the body and salt the bones.
I know.
Um,
But they were kids and they're really sorry. And then they just, made it a big town mystery for 30 years.
yeah, but as they're arguing of whether or not it's rational if this ghost exists, they see Lucas hovering over the lake, hearing "Come play with me," and a gray hand grabs him,
Oh no,
pulls him
ghost
under.
child.
Yeah, it's borderline the kid from The Grudge.
Very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very like Ghost Town from The Grudge, Ghost Town from Dark Water,
yeah, yeah,
like little grayed out ghost child, kind of murky, just kind of pokes his head up from the
yeah,
lake and goes
yeah.
burble, burble, burble.
Brr, 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 brr. Well, uh, they
Sam and Dean jump in because they
jump
got to
in,
save
try
the
to
day.
find this boy. They keep diving down and diving down. They cannot find him.
But they're telling, her, like, you stay out of the water because that ghost child is going to get you.
Yes, but Jake, Sheriff Dad, starts wading into the water, being like, "Listen, no, you want me? You just take me instead, Peter.
Oh,
Like, let it be over." And Peter's like, "All right,
okay.
you." He gets sucked down.
He gets sucked down and they come up with a kid.
Yep.
So easy. That's nice, easy trade. At least the ghost has morals, you know?
Yeah. So we're in our
Epilogue.
epilogue.
Yep.
Andrea arrives to say, "Before you boys leave town, we made sandwiches for you for the road. In fact, Lucas made them." And Lucas like, "I made these for you.
Oh,
Are you my
okay.
father now?"
Oh my God. We gotta go.
Peace, big dude. And Andrea gives him a big kiss. So he's got another heart
Oh,
container, Dean does. And they're back out on the road. Credits.
and they say they know where they have to go, but we're
Yeah.
gonna learn that if we keep watching.
I did keep watching. They still are just dicking around in the
No, they're
next
still
couple
just
of
dicking
episodes.
around,
Just
trying
no
to level
progress
up.
on Dad yet. We're gonna
I think they
tease
have
that
to go
out.
back to that house that they grew up in. That's my theory.
That's yeah. Also, like they also have to be able to schedule Jeffrey Dean Morgan for
Right,
a shoot.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
he's not cheap.
No.
No, but my theory is that they have to go back to the house in Lawrence, Kansas. That's what they're going to find. Duh, that's where you're going to get clues.
Yeah.
Is to the demon. It's going to leave behind some demon residue or something.
Yeah.
I want to know. Okay, so moving forward, I would like to watch more Supernatural. I don't know if it's like a show that I need to like must watch or like must watch every episode because here's the thing, like if it's a monster of the week, you kind of get the feeling you can skip some episodes, but I feel like you need to watch every episode so you can like see the character development.
I think it's going to be a little bit like Buffy in the sense that
Yes.
you'll kind of know early on whether or not you could also be doing
Yes.
the today's
Doing the
Wordle at the
dishes.
same time.
Yes. Like, can you be cooking dinner during this episode, or is this going to be like a really intense episode?
Yeah. And that's how I found like watching the next two episodes last night. I was like, I'll just keep going because
Yeah.
this
Why
is
not?
fun and I don't know.
You're in the
See
zone.
this or basketball and like this
Yeah.
seems fine. So, yeah, so that was great and it was a lot of fun. And I was kind of in and out of them, so I'm not going to tell you I could do a solid book report on episodes 4 and 5 like I could
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. I think this will be like a fun comfort show because I like these characters. I like this little
Check in
world.
every
This
once
is
in a while.
great.
You're like, listen, especially going into winter time when you're like, oh God, it's shitty weather. You've got some long gray days, cold days ahead. You're like, I don't know, let's check in on Sam and Dean, see how
Yeah,
the hunt for demon mommy murder, and daddy issues continue.
See if they've kissed yet.
Let's see if they've kissed.
Shall we rate this television program?
Yes, let's.
How approachable is this show if you are horror movie averse? Well, I can only tell you on the first three episodes, but based on that this is also network television, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all approachable, 10 being very approachable if you're horror squeamish. I mean, let's give Supernatural like 8 bags of M&Ms out of 10, right? Like it pulls its punches because it's primetime television. It does have blood. It does have some jump scares. It does have some creepy faces. The Bloody Mary one is creepy and bloody and whatever else from episode 5. But again, I think it's like demonstrative horror rather than like real fucking scary or real unnerving. Kind of X-Files ish, right?
I would say the X-Files we
X-Files.
watched was, I think the difference is in tone.
Yeah.
Like this is much lighter daytime, and the
Yeah.
X-Files is much darker,
You're right.
churroscuro, whatever that word, you know,
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
say
Agreed.
churros? It's about churros.
It's about churros.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's say 8 bags of M&Ms out of 10 as far as approachability goes. Cecil, what about you? To speak nothing of approachability, how is this as a horror TV show? How do you rate it?
As a horror TV show, I think it's a great concept. What I like about it is that it is, at least on the outset, presented as like a monster American road trip, which I
Yeah,
think is such a great idea. Kind of diving into American haunts, monsters, ghost stories, local legends, things like that. And I really love that idea. I think that's a really kind of fun concept. Um, where it goes from there remains to be seen. But
yeah,
the first 3 episodes, a lot of fun. Is it the scariest thing I've ever seen? No, it's not. Uh, like I said, it's like here's a sexy ghost. The sexy ghost pounces on a boy, and then we cut away to the car, and then just a paintball gun explodes inside the car, and we go, "Oh, he's dead." But you at no time see anything, even haunted house level of scary.
yeah.
So I don't know. Good concept, low scare factor. I would say like 6 to 7 out of 10 hot brothers who don't kiss.
Great. Well, let's figure out what movie we will watch next. You've got a scare die, and I have my style die this week.
Oh, look at you.
Yay! Found it. It was in my backpack. And we'll roll our dice and see what movie matches up those two with those two things. So Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is an animal. 2, a contagion. 3, wild card. 4, alien. 5, a phenomenon, like a human being with some type of supernatural skill, ability, mutation, whatever. Or 6, psycho killer. What do we got?
That's 5.
We already hit phenomenon.
We put it on the dice, we take it off the dice.
Man. All right, so phenomenon is going to match up with our style, whatever I roll here. If I roll a 1, it's got to be based on a book. 2, it's got to have a one-word title. 3, it's got to be in a foreign language. 4, New York, New York, set in New York City. 5, something from the 2000s. Or 6, a splatter film. Let's see what we got here. 6, splatter phenomenon.
Ooh, that's an interesting
That
combination.
is an interesting combo. We jotted down some ideas on our little grid, but we also have a Letterboxd. We're at Random Horror 9 on Letterboxd. We put all of the possible die roll matchups on there. So get a Letterboxd account and leave comments for movies that we might have missed in this process. So let's look at what we wrote down. Here's one I haven't seen but comes up a lot. I don't know if it matches human phenomenon, but it's Brightburn. It's kind
Yeah,
of
I've never
a
even heard of this.
so Brightburn, as it's been explained to me, I'm not even going to look this up. As it's been explained to me, Brightburn is like, what if a Superman,
Okay.
so a child
Child from another
grows
planet.
up but has like Superman like powers, but bad.
Uh-oh.
So there's Brightburn.
Okay. Okay. That sounds intriguing.
Scanners,
See, that was
Cronenberg,
the first thing I thought. Because the
totally.
thing, like
Yeah.
people with powers, and even though much of it is kind of a spy movie, when it does get to the splatter, it pays off.
Oh, yep.
Have you ever seen Scanners?
I still have not seen this movie.
Duly
I
noted.
I think it really fits splatter and phenomenon well
Jeffrey.
because it's humans with telekinetic powers.
Well, and also this is honestly this is one of the movies that I think I saw way like this is like one of those like when your parents let you watch a horror movie that you probably should not have watched at the age. This was one of those movies
Yeah.
that kind of got me into horror films that I probably should not have seen at the age. So like I don't know, this movie holds a very special place in my heart
Uh-huh.
and probably is the reason I'm so fucked up developmentally.
Okay, great. I'd like to pass that. I'd like to relive that for you and pass it on to our listeners.
Lots of fun. I'll be talking about this with my therapist next week.
Another one that I put on here, it's another classic that I haven't seen, but that's Tourist Trap.
I've never seen this either.
Um, from what I
I've
understand
heard of
about
it.
reading into it, it does involve psychic
Tele
ability of the killer,
telekinesis, psychic.
psychic things. Again,
I mean,
I don't even know if
it's
it fits
definitely like a
splatter.
kind of campy. Like it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like
Yes.
definitely a movie I think I would enjoy.
Yeah.
Kind of
And there's
campy 80s, right? It's like
yeah,
in the
and I
80s,
don't know if it's splatter or not because there's a fine line between like
79.
slasher and splatter.
Yeah,
Like because like Halloween is a
yeah.
slasher film, but it is not splattery at all.
I
There's
think
like
this might be a
yeah.
little more creepy slasher
Uh-huh.
Halloween. I think I'm getting those vibes from it for sure.
Another one that I don't know if it fits into splatter, but it's Argento, which is Phenomena.
The thing about Phenomena is that it's kind of two movies in one. It's like a girl who can control bugs with her mind. Amazing. Jennifer Connelly.
Uh-huh.
Fucking brilliant. And also a kind of like unstoppable psycho killer, kind of Michael Myers sort of character. Um, it's been a long time since I've seen this film.
Okay.
And then I was reading some like weird fan theory that it might also take place in a like alternate like neo-Nazi future. The Nazis actually like won World War.
Whoa.
I don't know. It's been a
Okay.
long time since I've seen this film, but it fit the bill enough to put it on the dice.
All right, we got two more that I think you put on this list. Oh, one of these is really good. I hadn't even thought of that.
The next one I put on there was Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood,
Uh-huh.
because a girl with psychic abilities, I've never seen this one because, we kind of petered out on the Friday
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
13th
yeah, yeah.
series after like 4, I think. But a girl with psychic abilities accidentally wakes up Jason Voorhees. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh. And by the time this is definitely going to fit your splatter,
Yeah.
you know, vibes, because especially by this time, they're just, the kills are going to get pretty violent and pretty larger than life. I
Uh-huh.
thought that certainly fits the bill. And then the last one I put on there is Akira.
Amazing. Of
Super
course.
splattery, super body horror. And it's about like one of the characters, if I remember right, has like psychic abilities that get kind of a little bit out of control, if I remember right.
Yeah.
They get a little bit cuckoo. Plus, also amazing soundtrack, some of the craziest visuals ever created, um, motorcycles, dystopian future, everything you want from Akira.
Giant melty bear. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's check in with what our letterboxed followers had to say. Man, it starts off with a flurry of seconds. JB Wolf trying to get Brightburn on Patreon for years.
Brightburn.
Monstrum, I'll second Brightburn. Cronenberg TA, seconding Scanners. King and Connor, seconding both of those movies. And Crowned Seeley also says, I don't know how you can get more on the nose with this role than Scanners.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
one
this
more
is
thing
interesting.
before
Yeah.
King and Commoner says all of the final destinations at least start with a premonition.
That I think I put Final Destination under the naughties. I guess that is kind of a splat. There's some splatter effect to Final Destination.
Uh-huh.
It is the Final Destinations to me aren't always about the splatter. It's more of the like Rube Goldberg ness
Yeah.
of the lead up to the splatter.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fun of those movies, but it definitely is about the sort of like the premonition of death coming. So I see you on that. I definitely
Yeah.
see you on that one, King and Commodore, for sure.
What else do people have to say here,
I
Cecil?
like Ganymede, where Ganymede's Cup has a really interesting one. The
Hmm.
Crow 1994 or The Crow 2004. I didn't think about that. Um,
2024.
or 2024. Yeah, The Crow. If you all IMDb, the night before his wedding, musician Eric Draven and his fiancée are brutally murdered by members of a violent gang. On the anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave and assumes the mantle of the Crow, a supernatural avenger. Absolutely, super splattery, very violent, lots of
Mm,
gore. I mean, this is also a very famed, movie where Brandon Lee died on set, so
yeah.
it's, horror within horror. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, supernatural ghost, psychic kind of tied up in there.
Uh-huh.
I've not seen the 2024 version. I'm not sure how it updates that. Let's see, kind
That's
of
Bill
from IMDb.
Skarsgård. Huh.
Yes, Skarsgård, given a chance to save the love of his life, Eric must sacrifice himself and traverse the worlds of the living and the dead, seeking revenge. So kind of
Interesting.
sounds similar in plot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Weaponized Toaster recommends VHS 2, which
Mm.
I think that's my favorite of the series. One of the films in the anthology involves a guy getting an ocular implant, which lets him see ghosts. Ooh, that's a
Okay.
good call. I like that one. And they also recommend Late Night with the Devil. Okay.
Mm.
Totally. 1977, a live television broadcast goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. The girl, a possessed girl, appears to have supernatural abilities. She's a sort of possessed, and
Yeah.
we definitely have a psychic in there who creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Pearhead, second scanners. Fifth Hammer, second scanners.
Um, I mean, look, there's a lot on here I want to see because I
Yeah,
I think Crow, I think that was
The Crow's a
Ganymede's
good
Cup
rec.
really inspired. That's a
That's a
great one.
really good recommendation.
And that's also a classic one that we should really get to on. Brightburn is one that I think the two of us are less familiar with, but it is one that comes up a lot on our lists. Um,
Here's the thing.
yes.
Like, we rolled person with ESP phenomenon psychic abilities
Mm-hmm.
and splatter.
It's
Like,
Scanners.
it's scanners. Like,
Yes.
it is like so, like that Venn diagram is a circle.
Yeah,
And
I
it's a
agree.
it's a really interesting movie. I actually just watched this movie like maybe a year and a half ago after revisit having not seen it in like 20 plus years. It's a good movie for these dark times.
Okay.
It's an interesting flick. And it's a
I
solid David Cronenberg flick.
I would I love going back to Cronenberg. I like going back to the classics. I like seeing a movie that is so well regarded or so well loved that I
Yeah.
have never seen. So it's fun for me to fill in these gaps.
And here's the thing. If you're a Patreon member, put Brightburn on that Patreon.
Yeah.
Just like JB Wolf. JB Wolf, keep putting Brightburn on there, and we'll get to it on Patreon.
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
love to see it. It sounds kind of fascinating.
It does look really, really interesting.
What if Superman, child, but evil?
Hmm.
Eek.
Well, that was easy and fun, and we had a great time. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. If you have thoughts on what did we just Supernatural or ideas for other movies that would have been good splatter meets phenomenon, let us know on Instagram or on Patreon at Random Horror 9. That Patreon, by the way, you can be a free member and still participate in all of our discussion threads and watch Scanners 1981 with this week and come on back for a and watch Scanners 1981 with us this week and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no hot ghosts testing your fidelity or nothing. Boo.
Boo.